This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing. Mentioned at the end of yesterday's show, which was a really, really good show with Shaw Grigsby, who announced after full-time competing for 41 years that he is hanging it up. It'll be interesting to see. Like I said, this is one of the few sports where we're seeing like kind of Gen 1 guys, like first generation guys who were there like during the creation and making, of so much of the sport and molded and shaped how it is, kind of hanging it up. Shaw's in his late 60s. We saw Rick Clunn in his late 70s do the same thing. We have Skeet Reese, who's competing in his last Bass Pro Tour event on Saginaw Bay before he retires and then kind of focuses on Reese fishing. We had KVD a couple years ago. So really a lot of the guys who've kind of formed and shaped it were kind of not moving on, but kind of that next generation is coming up here. And I could name 20 or 30 guys in their 30s, early 40s who I would consider that quote next generation, the Justin Lucas type anglers, who I think the sport's actually in really good hands. You have an appreciation for a past and an understanding of the future of how the sport's supposed to look. So, it just kind of depends on who you talk to as to where you think the sport, quote unquote, or competitive activity, whatever you want to call it, where professional fishing is health wise. I don't think it is in as bad a spot as the click mongers would like you to believe. Because the one thing is, once you go down the path to chasing clicks, negativity gets the clicks. So they want to make it sound like you're in a dumpster fire, because who doesn't want to watch a dumpster fire? But I don't think it's a dumpster fire on any of them. I think you have two professional leagues that are all, jockeying and trying to find where they are. If you look back over the history of professional fishing, 17 years of the Bassmaster Elite Series is the longest running trail that has ever been in existence. You look at what FLW did back in the days. They had invitationals and tour, and they've had everything that's kind of molded. The FLW tour was a long running, but the Elite Series, there were top 150s and invitationals. Everything is always kind of molded and shaped, which is what you see in a young sport. The way it is. So one of the things that I wanted to get to today is the invitationals just wrapped up, and we'll have a fresh episode of Best on Tour this week with Dave Rush that comes out later this week. But you've got you went for the BPT, went from 80 to 65 this year to supposedly 50 next year. We'll ask our guest today on what the details are on that. But then you've got the invitationals, which had 5 anglers that are moving up to the BPT. So there's just a lot going on over at the MLF side. And I said, instead of just calling up Jody White and saying, all right, walk me through this, who's in what and how do these double qualifications work? I said, just come on the show and talk about it. So there's Jody White, the man, the myth, the legend from MLF. And really, I guess your focus, Jody, is more invitationals, right? Like that's kind of your niche.
Yeah. Invitationals, Toyotas. If it has a weigh-in, like there's a really, really, really good chance that I was either there or worked on it. And if it doesn't have a weigh-in, I'm paying attention to it, but maybe, 20% less or 10% less.
Yeah. What is your streak of invitational / FLW tour event weigh-ins? Like how many years are you on the trail now, I guess, so to speak?
Oh God. I don't really know that I've missed one since like probably 2015. Like,
Yeah.
it's been a long time.
You got your finger on the pulse. Like between 2015 and 2025, so that's what, 11 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty much solid.
Like pick your favorite tournament out of the past 11 seasons. Like if you were to say like covering a tournament, if you were to go back and say, man, that one was so freaking cool.
The Potomac tournament that Nick Hatfield won, I loved. It was
Really?
Invitationals like 3 years ago, maybe. And one of it was because it was Nick who won. And I like Nick. I've known him a while. I was just really happy for him to win. And also, he caught a lot of fish on a popper on the last day, and I watched him catch them. And then he also caught like some big ones on bluegill beds on a wacky rig. And it was just like a really fun morning. Pickwick this year was awesome. Like every time I pulled up on Banks Shaw, he caught a big one. I was so dialed in photography for Pickwick this year. It was like one of my best tournaments ever. I don't know. I feel like a lot of them come down to like what I saw, because every tournament or most tournaments are pretty fun, like regardless. The one that Hallman won at Okeechobee when he didn't have to catch a fish the last day.
Yeah.
That was one of my first times. Maybe not my first time, but I had not been shooting on the water for that long then. And that was a really cool tournament.
That was the one where he was like, it was gas and wind, and he was up in the clumps of reeds and things like that, and was just, I think he had like a 16-pound lead going into the final day.
Yeah, he had a huge lead. We had a crazy cold front. Like it was cold in Florida, in the morning. I think on the last 2 days of that tournament. Yeah, this is Bank Shaw.
Look at that
probably
form.
catching
I
a big
didn't
one on
realize he
chatterbait.
had such great form there.
Oh, dude, he's a joy to watch fish.
Yeah, I had Banks lined up for yesterday, but I'm going to be quite honest. I sent Banks, Shaw, and Shaw Grigsby the same text that said, "Hey, Monday through Wednesday, I kind of wanted to do like an invitational week here with you, Sandwich Shid. Monday through Wednesday, pick your day." And Shaw gets back and says, "Monday morning sounds great." And then Banks gets back and says, "How about Monday?" And I said, "Sorry, Shaw just took Monday." And then Banks went MIA. So the goal is to get Banks on.
I gotta call Banks later today, so probably I'll maybe remind him to get back to you if need be.
I would love to have him on. Is he good interview? Is he quiet?
He's quiet. Some of your college guys are quiet, right? But he's gotten better and better as the year has gone on, I would say.
I gotcha. So he makes you earn it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. He's not out there to give away all the secrets.
Yeah.
And he's got some good ones.
The Hallman one was a really good one too. Someone's mentioned what was it like behind the scenes at the Matt Steffen lock drama on the Mississippi River out of Lacrosse?
Was that 2 years ago or last?
Yeah, I mean you were at the weigh-in, right?
We were at the weigh-in, and we were all standing around like, just wondering if these guys were gonna get back, right? Like we just didn't know, and then everyone kind of heard at the same time, "Oh my God, they're gonna get back!" Like, and then I found out the whole rest of the story afterwards, basically, of like truly how close it was. But like,
you weren't aware of that, like, because you work from it, you weren't like in the know when it came to that.
I was in the know that like I knew there was weird stuff happening, but I was sitting there preparing like these guys aren't making it back and trying to figure out who was going to win instead of all the guys who had been up a pool.
Gotcha. Because that's your job, is to have that out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I was like, so I think Bruggen is in this pool. Like he's right over there. He caught him today. Okay. So,
interesting.
It was that was a weird one. That one was probably, I think that we cut off live at the end of the day. I don't think it stayed live the whole time. If it had stayed live the whole time, it would have been probably incredible TV, I would say.
Yeah, I know. I've
or maybe
heard
we
that.
did leave it live, but I was
There was
learning
something
about
that
it
they
like
did
second or
different
third
with
hand
it.
the whole
Yeah,
time.
I remember. I've had Matt Steffen here, and we talk all the time, and I've heard his account of it, and it's pretty wild. There's a lot of like good sportsmanship stuff that went on there too, as far as like, you get up to the front, you guys do this, you do that, and I think when it comes down to it, I think they got back off the record because of Tom. I think Tom kind of
Mr. Mansour was very important.
Yeah, whatever happens in lacrosse typically goes through Tom Mansour on or off the water from what I've heard. And he made a call that said those lot gates are going to open, and they said yes sir, and they opened.
I think that if Tom Mansour is not at that tournament or is not a factor, I think that Matt Steffen does not win that tournament.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is what I kind of think.
Let's run through this season, and then we'll actually get into Bank Shaw, because this is an enigma that I don't think anybody saw coming in 2025. The man never finished outside of the top 10 the entire year, and I think you've got some stats. I don't know if you're willing to divulge them here, or do you want to send people over to your podcast on MLF?
We can talk about them here, because I've basically written most of it on the website anyway, and I'm going to write most of it again because it's so cool. But we're golden.
Okay. It was a solid year on the invitationals. Was this the second year or the first year of the first day with live scope, second day without live scope, third day with or forward facing sonar? Was this the second year?
This was the first year.
Oh, this was the first year.
Yeah, the first 2 years, 2023, 2024, it was, all scope all the time. And 2024 was like kind of defined by the minnow, right? Like it was a extremely scope heavy schedule. And then we kept hitting places at like great times for it to shine too,
What were your thoughts of how the split went this year with 1 day with, 1 day without? Remember, 3-day tournament here, so not a 4-day tournament. So literally to make that final day, which I believe is what, the top 25?
Top 30. But yeah,
top 30.
It was good. I honestly, like, going into it was a little bit, I don't know. I mean, I like live scope. So I kind of went into it being like, maybe this will be really weird. Maybe people won't like it. Maybe it'll be, maybe the weights will just totally tank. Maybe it won't be fun. And it was honestly pretty good. I don't know that I would want to fish a tournament where it was on and off, because that seems like a lot of work to like figure out multiple patterns. And some guys and guys approach that very differently. And I think some people would probably approach it differently even next year. And it definitely impacted the standings, but I think as far as a tournament trail goes, it was pretty good. All the tournaments were pretty compelling, I thought, or many of them were. Florida was a blowout. The St. Lawrence was a blowout. Almost everything else was, kind of, was competitive to a pretty good degree and like pretty interesting. So I don't know. It was a good year. I don't know if some other format would have been better or not. Like, what
did the anglers think of it? Was there bitching in the weigh-in line or behind the scenes, or did the guys kind of get used to it by the end? Or because I mean that's got to be so hard to practice for. It's got to be so hard to fish for. You're dealing with a limited practice where you're splitting it. Like, your gut reaction is Jody White, the angler. Did you see what Gleason said? He's like, I legit thought your last name was Blanco. Jody White, the angler, talking with your buddies behind the scenes. Take the MLF hat off here for a second, but I personally didn't hear a lot of complaining from any of the guys that I talked to about it. What about you?
No,
you're there.
It was a pretty chill year. I would say guys would much rather have had bigger fields or bigger payouts than change the rules. Definitely there's some guys who had tough day twos who would probably like to change those rules and would like to be able to keep it all turned on all the time. But I would say overall it was pretty solid. And like there were definitely some guys who, had really good day twos who you wouldn't have expected to. Or maybe not wouldn't have expected, but who, in theory wouldn't expect to. But I do think it made the season harder for a lot of guys. Brett is one of them who I think that, there were some times where he probably would have really loved to have his stuff turned on day two, especially at an unfamiliar lake where it's hard to figure out multiple different things.
All right. We'll start at the top because we've got a lot to unpack here as far as Angler of the Year and anglers. You had pretty young average age of guys who won, but number one up top, Bankshaw. He went third at Kissimmee, ninth at Hartwell, eighth at Lewis Smith, first at Pickwick, fourth at the James River, third at the St. Lawrence River. He blew away the Angler of the Year standings. There was a slight chance going into that final day he had it, but you've been covering this a long time. I would ask you personally, but I think you also have the stats that back it up that show this was legitimately the most dominant season for one angler in the history of FLW/MLF.
Yeah, I mean, it really was, honestly. At least on the touring level, right, where you're going national. Sure, there are Toyota series divisions.
Well, I mean, obviously not sure. I mean, obviously the most dominant, if you want to talk about a division,
Hanselman
would be Hanselmania, where he won the entire, Southwest division and the championship. He literally went 4 for 4. That was back when we're talking 200 boat fields on 3 different fisheries. That is legitimately the greatest performance that ever will be. I mean, I put that up there with the Michael Jordan flu game.
Yeah, it's a thing that should be impossible to happen, and I'm sure it'll never happen again. But it was incredible. Actually, and Dylan Nutt was, potentially I wouldn't say on track, right? But he did win 2 Centrals this year. Mm-hmm. And then I think he missed the cut at Gunnersville. And I guess it shows how hard that is to do.
Yeah, 2015 is when it went down. He won in February. We're talking Ray Hanselman. February on Amistad, April on Rayburn, and then early May on Lake Texoma to clean sweep the Southwestern Series. And then this was even what's more impressive, then went to the Toyota Series Championship on the Ohio River and won it by 8 pounds. Went 19, 11, and 15, and did $160,000 in 2015. And won. He went 4 for 4. You can't get any better than that.
And he was running a Skeeter then, and nothing against Skeeters, and I'm sure that he was well compensated afterwards for it. But God, those payout numbers would have looked so good if he was in a Ranger back then, because then it was I think you got a boat or 10 grand every time. I wish
basically left another 100 grand on the table. Yeah. I wonder if some of those guys who fish tours, especially back then, FLW was the Ranger boat tour for so many years. I wonder if under the table, other boat companies match their incentives at the top level there. If I was Angler X and I had a great relationship with boat company Y, I said, listen, I want to keep running your boat, but you got to match these incentives for me, as a professional angler at the top level to make it worth my while.
They definitely might have, but boy, there were a lot of Rangers on the FLW tour. So
there were. I still, every time I see that Ranger, Evinrude combo on the water, still with the cappuccino maker style, That brings me back to the day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've watched so many times where there was those Evinrudes, and really I guess a lot of motors, but there was a time period where the Evinrudes, like you almost always had to get up on the front deck to get the Rangers to plane out well. And like I've watched Brian New run up to the front deck of somebody's Evinrude, somebody's Rangers so many times as he's getting up on plane, and then run back to the passenger seat.
That's funny.
So it was a great era, to be honest. But
I'm
back
sure
to
we
Bank
complained
Shaw
about it
at the time.
Third, ninth, eighth, first, fourth. Third, ninth, eighth, first, fourth, third. We got sidetracked there, but I want your thoughts on like where the hell did this come from?
So the year before, Shaw won at Chickamauga and in the Toyota Series, and he set the record for winning margin in a Toyota Series event in that tournament. He blew everyone away, and I'm not sure if he was leading on day one. I'm like 50-50 on that off the top of my head, but he crushed them. And like that summer, I was told that he had basically won like every tournament on Chickamauga, and guys were like he'd show up to the ramp and guys would put their boats on the trailer. And I think that now it's a little frowned on for him to be fishing like local jackpots on Chickamauga. But I guess point being, he was awesome locally, right? And I think I even have like asked Drew Gill or something like that, like, hey, who is the next college guy? And I've heard Banks's name. That said, we went into this year, he signed up kind of late for the invitationals, and I went into the year thinking, well, our hottest young prospect is Hayden Marbut, who had a great Toyota Series season. And I'm like, he's going to catch him in probably every one of them. He's got it, right? And like Hayden had a really good season. But I didn't, peg Banks to just torch everyone. I was like, this Banks guy is interesting. I wonder if he'll catch him everywhere or just on the Tennessee River. And it turned out he caught him everywhere. So it was really cool to see.
Okay, I have to do this right, or else this is going to come across horrible. But this is going to put into perspective, and you may oh my gosh!
I'm hoping you have like some Kevin Van Dam related stats here.
No, this is even worse. This is even better. I'm having a stroke over here. Recuse yourself from this conversation. But back in, and this is. I hope this works. If it doesn't, I'm going to owe Bagshaw a massive apology, and you might never be on BTL again. But if it works, it's going to show how crazy it is. So back in the early 2000s, before live, before cameras, with co-anglers, the whole 9 yards, there was a phenom that worked his way up through the ranks by the name of Tony Christian.
Uh-oh.
And Tony Christian won at such an alarming rate and came from absolutely nowhere that there were some questions. His stats were so good that everyone else was saying there's no way you can catch fish this consistently at this rate coming from where you're coming from. Now, depending on where you're from and who you are and what you're doing, Tony Christian was never charged or formally accused. Let's just say there was a line of circumstances that took place to where he was no longer welcomed in FLW. And there were alleged rumors of fish boxes or tied up fish and co-angling. You see where I'm going with that, Jody? He basically caught them too well for everyone else to go, and back then the technology wasn't there and everything was there. So Tony Christian did this for like 3 years. He had 31 MLF events with 15 top 10s and 9 career wins. Now I say this to say Bankshaw's doing this 100% by the book. Above, everything has been on live. You've watched him catch all of his fish. He's been on live with it. consistently, but numbers wise, he has 38 MLF events, 20 top 10s, and 4 wins. So Banks Shaw is catching him at a better pace than the biggest alleged cheater in the history of the sport. You see what I'm saying? Like how though they have very similar numbers as far as what they fish and what they've done. And people were looking at Tony Beck the day going, hey, there ain't no way he's doing this. He can't. Banks is doing it on camera live with GoPros and people watching him and 100% above the board and everything. And he's catching him at a better pace than the best alleged cheater that's ever done it in the game, which shows you how freaking good Banks Shaw's last 2 years has been.
They've been super good years, and I am not as intimately.
Should I? I mean, I'm not.
Stats as you are.
I'm just saying. Does that make sense? The way I kind of brought that up. It's a horrible comparison. Like you never want to do that, but to me that shows like here's a dude who's going out and catching him as good as a dude who was allegedly catching him out of a damn box.
Yeah, I think that we've seen like a few really, really good streaks like this, right? And like, honestly, if you look at Wheeler's stats, like, especially, I sent you a spreadsheet earlier.
Yeah.
With like AOI rate and stuff.
Yeah. Are you going to make that public ever?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I was going to say, second coming to Ken Duke here, where you freaking keep everything close to the vest.
So it's like stunning how good. The thing about Banks Shaw season that surprised me was when I started to look at it, I was like, holy smokes, Jacob Wheeler is good. Is like one of the, not that I was unfamiliar with him being good, but I was stunned at how often his stats show up in our, like, in the short history that we're doing here. So
do you have that list there?
Yeah, so this is by average tournament finish, and this is just counting regular season events, right? And so you've got, and this is FLW Tour, Invitationals, Pro Circuit, BPT, and the AOIs.
Okay.
And so Banks Shaw won AOI on the Invitationals this year. He had a 4.67 average, which means on average he finished better than 5th in Invitationals tournaments, right?
Yeah.
To win AOI. In 2022, Jacob Wheeler ran a 5.43 average to win AOI on the BPT. In 2024, Wheeler ran a 7.43 average. Brian Thrift, in 2010 on the FLW Tour, ran a 7.6 average.
Jeez.
Then Jacob Wheeler again. Well, no, actually, scratch that. That's 2025. He just finished 30th at the Potomac. That one needs to change. We're gonna not worry about 2025 Wheeler right now. 2024, Alec Morrison had an 8.67 average on the Invitationals, and then 2021 on the Bass Pro Tour, Wheeler had a 10.43 average. Like, obviously field size matters a little bit here. The Bass Pro Tour has consistently run a little bit smaller field than the Invitationals or than the FLW Tour.
But
right?
You could also argue talent.
You could say on the BPT they're a little bit better sometimes. You could say now it's harder to win than ever. Like, you can argue it a few ways, but regardless, it's like super impressive.
And that's the history of FLW Tour, and then BPT and Invitationals. That's the average angler, like average finishes of the year. So in the history of since 94 or whenever Irwin had
like it's
started it,
the best ever.
So there's only been 6 guys who have averaged a top 10 finish over the course of the entire season, which is anywhere from 6 to 9 events.
Well, really, there's only been
5.
3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's been 4 guys who have done it.
Yeah.
Thrift, Wheeler, Morrison, and Shaw.
Oh, well,
just
seasons.
Wheeler,
I meant like total seasons out of all those seasons.
Right, and just Wheeler has done it.
And Banks Shaw has the best in history.
Yeah. like
What?
the best.
Wow. And Wheeler has
And here's the thing.
4 of the top 10.
In the last tournament here, he brought his average up. Like fishing with no scope one day at the St. Lawrence. His average went up. It was like 5 coming into the tournament, and he was going to beat Wheeler. And then he was like, that's not good enough. I wanted to start with a 4.
You've watched him. Like, what makes him good? Is it technique? Is it where he's doing it? Is it confidence? Like, obviously, you can't speak for the man, but what is it that allows you to do that? Because that's not a fluke.
Yeah, I think some of it is he is fishing really good, right? And I'm not going to say that everything is a streak, because some guys prove that it's not a streak, but he's fishing awesome right now. It wouldn't shock me if in 5 or 10 years he, doesn't have another season this good, right? Or another stretch this good. Some of it is just you're on a roll, you make all the right decisions. Some of it is technique. I mean, he's on the cutting edge of basically everything. I think that's for sure a fact. And I think a lot of it is time in the water. I mean, you were talking about his 600 hours on his motor in 3 months or whatever it was a few episodes ago. And I mean, he super is putting the time in, and he's super on top of what it takes to win right now. And, I talked for his AOI story. I talked with Gage King, who is like, he's his tournament partner in college. Like, they won a high school national championship. They have won in college together. And like, Gage is a good fisherman. He's fishing Toyotas. He's eventually going to be probably fishing at this level, or try to. And I mean, Gage really couldn't explain it to me other than to tell me, one, he's like sure that Banks is pretty much the best fisherman alive right now. And then like, he's like, Jacob Wheeler better watch out, which maybe is not his exact words, but like, he thinks he's really good.
Yeah.
And which, I mean, like, if you think your tournament partner is really good, that's good. But also he said that like Banks will just do stuff on the water that he wouldn't have thought to do, or he wouldn't say a book would have told you to do, but Banks will go do it, and then it'll work. And he'll do it again, and it'll work, and again, and it'll work. And he's like, it's not luck.
Yeah, you know who the last guy I heard was like that when he was coming up? Jordan Lee.
Yeah.
Like, Matt would call it the Joe Lee pattern. Oh, let's just go over there and catch a 5-pounder. Oh, how about over there? It looks like there's a 5-pounder over there. And the mere mortals are sitting there going, what the hell is this witchcraft? But mind, there's some sort of abstract pattern that's going on there.
Well, it's with Banks right now, I think a very high level of just like fishing instinct and intuition, right? And then he's obviously combining that with a lot of skill, which you always have. And then also like super, super hard work, right? Like, I don't think that you catch him that good on Chick or that good on the Tennessee River without being like really happy to put in hours and hours and hours.
Is he like Alec Morrison level? Like where you just go out and fish days and days and days and days and days, and then after that you fish some more days and days, and then you're like, hey, let's graph the entire basin and 10-foot increments for the next 7.5 days.
I would venture to guess, yeah. I would say so. And I mean, he like, I don't know if he would tell you this, but like, I don't think that there's a tournament at Chickamauga that like he wouldn't, I won't say expect to win, but like, I don't think he's worried ever about a Tennessee River tournament.
Yeah, there you go.
I think at this point.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll eventually get him on BTO when he's not on the water graphing.
Or maybe when he's on the water.
Yeah, or maybe not. We'll have him on BTO after comparing him with the Tony Christian stats. He might be like, yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Maybe someone will edit that clip just right, and he'll blackball you.
You understand what I was trying to say there, though, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Like his stats are so good.
That good.
Yeah, he's fishing better than a guy that allegedly was catching him out of a box.
He's fishing so good it shouldn't be possible, but yeah. I gotta
say
I've watched him all year and it's super possible. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's doing it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Oh, Jim Lopez said he saw a video of Wheeler the other day. It looked like he was scrambling on the water. Maybe there's some maybe Wheeler is Wheeler's
the armor.
Oh yeah, I think he might be done. He didn't
city checks rolling in.
I know.
He's getting lazy.
Can you imagine the royalties he's getting for that Crush City stuff? Oh my gosh. His mailbox money is more than we'll make in a career.
I would imagine that he is pretty well set to do whatever he wants because boy,
and they made that damn thing as a chatterbait trailer too, and they just happened to make it in mass at the time that the minnow craze hit, and it was the only commercial available rollable 4-inch I mean, just like the things that had to come together for that freeloader to do what it did is like the technology aspect with the hey, let's come out with another line of soft plastics with Rapala that's not known for soft plastics. Like, why? Like, I remember thinking, like, what's the difference on this stuff? Nothing. And then it all, like, came together, and they've sold 8 bazillion of them. You good? You got to feed, like, sheep
I'm good. Super. Right. Yeah. Thank God they have sold a zillion of them, huh? Yeah. And for a while, they were even, like, hard to get. And now I think pretty much you can always get them, but God, they've sold everything.
Yep. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's run down the rest. I want to know, like, who's in, who's out. You got those stats for the invitations because you got, like, Bobby Lane who's holding up a plaque that's like, hey, I made the BPT, which, like, he's literally on the BPT with a Legends exemption for his Red Crest win there on Grand on the triple weigher.
That was insane. But yeah, no, we'll break it all down.
All right, it's BTL on a Tuesday. Jody White from MLF, pretty damn good on his own fishing too. Go where do you keep that Bassmaster Open trophy?
It's over by the TV, so when I'm watching videos about guys fishing, I see it right next to it.
Yeah, Bassmaster Open, St. Lawrence River a couple years ago. Jody White smoked everybody. You're kind of the first that started that trend. There's been a few fights on that spot since then.
That's a good area.
Sure. It's BTL on a Tuesday. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. You know, I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
Welcome back. BTL on Tuesday with Jody White. So did you notice what Schmidt said there? This is just something that there's about 10 people on Earth that it would bother them. You're one of the 10, I think.
I don't know. I was busy reading Spro Pro and thinking, man, that sounds fun.
He said Bassmasters Elite Series with an S.
Oh gosh.
Which
Actually,
also
kind of bugs me. They're moving away from the Elite Series to just calling it the Elites. So I'll be bugged by that now too when I listen to it.
So Scott Martin, a couple other guys, like old school guys, still call it the Bassmasters Classic.
Yep.
With an S on the end, which I thought, that's blasphemy. You can't get the name right. It's Bassmaster Classic. Well, since I've been growing up, it's always been the Bassmaster Classic. But after some research, I found it used to be called the Bassmasters. The Bassmasters. And it was called the Bassmasters Classic in the early days. So I'm sure like Scott says that because that's what his dad said, Roland. He was fishing the Bassmasters Classic. It technically makes a lot more sense to say Bassmasters Classic, but it just is like nails on a chalkboard when I hear Bassmasters Elite Series, Bassmasters Classic, but it's technically not wrong. It's kind of like the periods in between BASS, which started for Bass Angler Sportsman Society. Then in the rebrand went away and they just made it Bass. And then on the most recent iteration of the purchase brought back the periods, B period, A period, S period, S period.
Okay, noted. I'm trying to think if there's a thing that we have so many varied names and so many interesting capitalizations that I'm pretty much I'm just going with the flow on what people write at this point in time. But I'm down with the history. Yeah, I don't know. I had a thought for a second, and then I was reading comments about how nobody could hear me, and so that
I feel like we can hear you. I'm gonna absolutely.
I can get closer, but
well, now I just jacked up your mic too, so now it's. Yeah, no, that's the same thing, Jim. Is like when I first started calling it fishing it was called the Bass Federation, and then it was called the Federation Nation, Wrangler Angler Federation Nation, and then it split with the TBF. Which ended up being a subsidiary of FLW, like I guess I want to say mid 2000s is when that split happened, late 90s, mid 2000s, something like that. And then you had the TBF, and then they changed it to the Bass Nation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of and even that is confusing depending on who you're talking to and where you are. Like in New York, they call the New York Bass Nation, like a lot of people just call it NY Fed, which is obviously from a long time ago, and it's just somehow stuck. So
yeah,
it's definitely we're in bass fishing. We're just generally speaking pretty bad with names and like really keeping them good and logical and having them actually stick around, and then continue to use whatever the right one is, I would say.
All right, so four anglers go to the Bass Pro Tour from the Invitationals, or 5?
Well, it's gonna be 4. It ordinarily is 5. It's top 5, and Bobby Lane obviously finished in the top 5 in points, and so
okay. Well, are we missing someone there then? Yeah,
so Dustin Smith finished 5th, and he missed the St. Lawrence and got on the road. So we were like, all right, stand up there. And Dustin is like back home in Alabama at that point.
Oh, yeah, there's CGI in there. So there's the list. This is a classic list of one of these things is not like the other.
Yep. Yeah, because you have Banks Shaw, Mitchell Robinson, Jacob Walker, all young up and comers, trying to make it big. And then you got Bobby Lane, who some would say has, done some things already. some would say he's on the BPT already.
Some would say that he's won a red crest.
Yeah. But yeah, Bobby Lane he qualified for the Bass Pro Tour again, and well, maybe not again. He may never have qualified before. He may just have been invited, but he qualified for it now, and he is already on it. So he's going to save a spot for someone on the Bass Pro Tour, and then Dustin Smith in fifth also made the Bass Pro Tour, and obviously, I guess every year you never quite know who's going to do what. I'm pretty dang certain that Shaw, Mitchell, and Walker, like, they're all going to take it. Dustin is maybe a little more on the line. Like, he's got to figure it out some because, one, he's got a young family. Two, he fished the whole invitational season, no scope.
Oh, wait, like never, like the whole thing. He finished in the top 5 and
like,
didn't even have it on the...
Almost won at Hartwell without it. Yeah, he has like 2 Humminbirds, and then he has a iPad. And a Fortrex also. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, he is an incredible fisherman. Like, incredible topwater fisherman, incredible shallow. Like, he's really, really good. He's basically fiberglass John Cox. But he's not really sure that he can hang with every fish counts and, you know, scope on, scope off on the BPT. And so he's really, I think he's going back and forth on it.
Interesting. Have you had him on your podcast?
I have.
I need to go back and listen to that.
I'm pretty sure I have anyway. But
I need to get him on BTL. That would be a hell of a story.
You should have.
Can you send me his contact after the show? Because that's your, like, I mean, that's your job.
Yeah, that's my job. You got it. But yeah, he's a great interview. Like, he loves fishing. He thinks about it well. He talks about it well. Like, he's really, I'm a big Dustin fan.
Everything's a flipping bait and a buzz bait.
Yeah. I fished with him in Florida once on the Harris chain, and all we did was throw spooks all day. It was crazy. Like, we were out there, like, in the fog, like, twitching them along, like, spooks and prop baits, and, like, you'd just hear, like, you know, a 6-pounder, like, and you wouldn't even see it sometimes. It was amazing. But yeah, Dustin's the man. But he may or may not take it, which if he does take it, awesome. He'll fish the BPT. It'll be cool to watch. If he doesn't take it, then he would, I guess he would basically save an additional spot on the BPT because obviously some folks are going to get.
Yeah, wait a second.
That.
So that trolling motor does not even have spot lock on it.
Correct.
And there's no transducer on the shaft or on the head or anything. He's got like a little puck transducer underneath it that tells him how deep the water is.
Yeah. Every day. So on at the end of weigh-in on day 1, they hand out these little lock boxes that you take your transducer cords and plug them into and lock them up, right? And so, like, every time, like, Banks would take, like, 3 because he's got transducers all over the boat, you know, they'd hand all these out to everyone. And Dustin would always be like, no, I'm good. And then day 2, they unlock them all at the end of weigh-in, and he'd be like, no, I'm good. Like, he was just good to go all year long.
You think, Jody, that has maybe the split with the scope and non-scope actually played in his benefit because he was able to go into practice and find the pattern that he was going to fish for 3 days and wasn't splitting his time up going, okay, well, I spent part of my practice finding these offshore fish or fish that I can scope. Now I've got to go find fish that I can catch without using the live scope. So you end up with this weird split half and half where guys are mixing their time and he's just putting his head down and not worrying about any of it.
I think that the split schedule or the split tournaments probably helped him. But I think he was going to put his head down and do it either way. I'm not sure if he was fishing the NPFL previously, and I'm not really sure if he ran scope some or not, or like I'm not exactly sure of his previous scope status. I think he was running no scope on the NPFL for a little while, back when they allowed it. So I think it probably helped. I think some of it was a little bit of a schedule and seasonal thing. You know, if you look at this year, like he had some good opportunities to fish no scope, right? And then he also, like at the same time, you know, he capitalized when he could, but like there were also some that were pretty good events to have scope at, and
St. Lawrence.
sometimes you see where it didn't work out as well.
Yeah. Interesting. That's cool.
But yeah, he's a super nice guy. You should definitely have him on. And like his strategy is like basically like it's a little bit like John's is, right? Like Cox's is, to where he's going to be less effective as a fisherman if he tries to do 37,000 things, right? Like I don't know if he would tell you he's not good enough, but like he thinks he can't do all that. And I think that that's probably a good call for a lot of people, because if you try and do 300 things, you're not going to do as well a lot of times.
How old is
Some
he?
people
Looks like
can
he's
do it.
what, 30 years old?
40? I'm honestly
between 30 and 40
ages, but yeah,
I mean, he's not 20,
early 40s maybe. He's not like ancient by any means,
and he's not.
And he's
20.
a super smart guy. Like he's not a guy who like looks at a graph and doesn't know how to turn it on or something like that. Like I think that if he put his mind to it and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna figure out how to be awesome at scoping," I think he probably would figure it out. But it's just not what he prefers to do, right? Like he loves fishing shallow, he loves fishing topwater. Like that's, you know, that kind of stuff is his jam, and he's just leaned into it hard, which obviously worked really well this year.
The other name that sticks out up here, Mitchell Robinson, brother of Marshall Robinson, son of Marty Robinson, who are both plying their trade currently this week in the final BPT event of the 2025 season. One of the storylines that everyone has been following is the Mitchell joining Marshall and Marty for the 3M. Boy, that'd be a great sponsorship with the 3M tape or plastic. You know, that 3M.
Ooh,
Didn't 3M
yeah,
used,
like
3M used to
adhesive
be
stuff?
in? Yeah, didn't 3M
We
used to be
have
in
them back in the
FLW?
day in FLW.
So obviously the numbers or the list of the 65 to 50 is not public. I've talked to a couple of the guys on the BPT, like they're aware of where their standings are and either what they need to do this week at Saginaw to stay into it, or if they need to maybe brush up on their resume for 2026. But, you know, going into this year, we're looking at the prospect of 3 Robinsons. Is that still a possibility, or do we have to wait to see how things shake out here on Saginaw Bay in the final one? I'm just saying this, Jody, is there a alternate universe where Marty and Marshall end up in the invitationals and Mitchell ends up on the BPT? Is there a percentage chance of that happening?
I think that it could happen. I think there's probably which would be, I mean, crazy, but also kind of a bummer. I think probably the best chance is that Marshall and Mitchell are on it, and that
Marty, that's
is
even
not
crazier.
Because if you look at like the career like the averages, which is what they go off for folks who are not in the top 36 in points, Marshall is ahead of Marty in percentage. So
is there a chance that Marshall could be the one who knocks Marty out of the BPT this year? Like Marshall's the last man in and Marty is the first man out?
I guess they could. I mean, so the BPTs, so like you take the top 36 in the standings, right?
Okay.
Like just let me pull the standings up here real quick.
And
just so
full disclosure, this is not like available to view on MLF, which drives me nuts because like I was just watching the final regular season PGA Tour event, right? And one of the stories I was following was Gary Woodland, who had had a lesion on his brain that he had removed. He had brain surgery. He came back. He was trying to make the top 70 to go to the playoffs, and every putt, if he made a birdie, he'd move up to 68th. If he made a bogey, he'd move down to 70. Then there was like 3 or 4 guys that were in that race. Then there were a bunch of guys that were in the race to keep their tour cards for exemptions. And it was guys like that were in like 50th in the tournament that you're like hanging on the putt because you've kind of followed their story. You've got to see him. If you went to a golf tournament, you're rooting for him. I would love for fishing to be that way, like to where, X angler on Score Tracker is in 40th, but then he catches one, he moves up to 35th, and you see where it moves his standing. So, the part of the sport is the do or die. It's cutthroat. It's ruthless. It's mean. But if you're in that 80, if you're in that group, that's what you sign up for. It's not a participation trophy award. So I would love for MLF to be able, heck, you guys can do live scoring where you have someone holding a fish. I just had the dude from Bubba on who's talking about how I can be fishing against someone in the Penyan province with a Bubba that's connected on a satellite up there. And we know exactly, surely we could get it to where we know who's in and who's out instead of this kind of loose. I think he's in. I think he's out. Or I don't know why they would keep that. You're an employee. I expect you to have an opinion on it. That's my opinion on it.
I think that they're frustrating reasons for you, and I honestly
understand that there's things behind that. But anyway, continue with what you were going to say before I rudely interrupted you.
Oh, well, no. So I pulled up the standings. So the top 36 in points are like 100% safe. They're in, right? And so obviously that could change just based on Saginaw. Right. And so Marshall Robinson is 40th in points. And then Marty is 49th in points. So like if they both have good tournaments, I think Marshall totally could keep Marty out. But I think it's more like it's I wouldn't say it's unlikely that he'll have a good tournament, but it might be more likely that it ends up they qualify in by either career average or they're in that like next.
How does the career average work? I'm very curious on that. Like, I'm not exactly sure how that works.
Well, I'll read it to you and let me know if it makes sense to you. Let's see. So, God, where is this thing?
So I'm looking at but there, there's a bunch of guys that are in the top 35 here, that are, especially with just 65 points on the line, are really not, they can't fall out. And then there's a bunch of guys that are kind of on the Mendroja line, like Dustin Connell in 35th. That I would assume that there's some average thing that dude could zero the next 3 years and be fine.
Yeah. So career Angler of the Year standings average is the average of an angler's career BPT AOI finishes converted to a winning percentage to accommodate changes in field size, not counting earned drops. Anglers can drop their lowest Angler of the Year finish every 3rd year. Career Angler of the Year standings average and earned drops reset to 0 when an angler does not compete in a Bass Pro Tour season, except as allowed by exemptions. So you basically, if you fished on the BPT for 5 years, you take your 4 best seasons, you can drop 1. If you fished for 3 seasons, you take your 2 best, you can drop 1. Once you fish 6 seasons, you can drop 2 years.
So you've got guys that are far down that are going to make it and guys that aren't. So the way I read that, though, is if you leave the BPT and come back, you start over at 0.
I would say that's probably true.
So Bobby, and you said the top. Yeah, so Bobby's out right now. So he's literally having to use, because if he used his Legends exemption.
No, because Bobby is, I think Bobby's having a really good season on the BPT.
He's
right?
in 38th.
Okay, so I guess technically he would be out, but so they take the 36 are, oh God, I messed it up. This is the first 36 by career AOI, then the next 10 by AOI rank.
Okay, I'm glad you're confused too.
here's the thing. We could write it all down. And, well, it is all written down, but it would be... I blew it. I'm sorry.
No,
I've
no,
confused everyone.
there's no way to put. Just, do you want to start over?
No, not. I mean, not. I don't really know if I want to start over or not because I might get it wrong again.
But so you have career rank.
Yeah, so
you
your
still
first
get to
36
drop
on
one out of every 3 years.
our career rank. And for an example of that, Jacob Wheeler's career average is 99.75. Drew Gills is 97.82.
Okay.
Right? So really killing the game here. Matt Becker is 94.8.
Okay.
Right? So like Connell, who's having a kind of tough year, is at 89.6. Like there are guys who are just, they are super locked in.
So they're
right?
not going by their finishes. What they're doing is trying to take into account field size because some of it's 65, some of it's 80, all of that. So they're getting a number, like a score, I would assume, on 100. So you have a score attached to your name, and then that varies on how long you've been on, which you're able to drop. Like, let's say I've been on the BPT since the beginning. I'm able to drop my 2 worst years. Then then there's also a score where it does not matter what your score is. If you're in the top 36 of the BPT this year, you could have finished last or whatever, then you're automatically in the next year.
No. So they take the top. Basically, this is for how next year goes, right? And maybe this will change for 2027, but they'll have next year the top 36 in career average are fishing, and then they'll 36 through 45, I guess. Maybe I'm mathing that wrong. Maybe 30. The next one is just AOI rank. So you'll have, and that'll be kind of like an odd mix. You'll have like some guys who, the first year, like it's their first year, right? So Jake Lawrence, Colby Miller, they don't have career averages, but they're doing great in AOI. So they will be in that quote next 10 group. And then you'll have other guys who have like who have had a tougher career average, right? And James Elam would be an example here, but who are having a really good season, who will be also in that next 10 group because Elam
so he's saving
like
himself
27th.
this year.
What's that?
He's saving himself this year.
Right. And if he was not, then he would not, right?
Yeah.
And so then they'll have the first 36 on career, next 10 based on AOI, and then which will largely that'll largely take up like most of the guys who are fairly high in AOI, right? Because it's a combination of guys who've had good careers and then guys who are kind of in the mix from an AOI perspective. Then you have your invitationals guys who get slotted in, right? Which is 5, but will actually probably be 4, possibly even 3. Right?
Okay.
And then they will extend invitations to the next guys based on career AOI average. So that's and that group is a mix of some guys who are just doing it and have had like one good year and one bad year and haven't had a drop.
But there's no protection for rookies. No protection for rookies. Like you have to come in and perform on the BPT if you're a rookie that wants to remain on the BPT during these cuts. Like Stefan was kind of a victim of that last year. Like he came in, didn't have a bad year, but wasn't high enough because he had no average. Period. Okay, there's no like elite series where it's like, hey, you get 2 years.
Yeah.
You come in, you get your ass handed to you, you go home and say, boy, that was fun.
Yeah, and then try and qualify again or do something else, which is, I don't know. It's pretty tough way to make.
Do they have any idea of how they're going to do it once it gets down to 50? Like who stays on and how many rotate off?
I think that in theory every year there'll be 5 new invitationals guys, or maybe
Wow.
4 new invitationals guys. How they decide, there'll be some new invitationals guys every year. I think it's going to be 5, but I could see a scenario where maybe more BPT guys decide to be like Bobby and try to protect it a little bit. But anyway, assuming it's 5, they'll drop people. I don't know if the drop is going to be based on career average or based on that year or what. I kind of would assume it'll be based on career average, but that's just me guessing at this point, honestly.
I mean, I'm looking at this list, and like I said, obviously it's not published anywhere there, but it doesn't take a rocket science to say, okay, let's say you're safe if you're in the top 30 or whatever this year, right?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I'd say if you're in the top, there are going to be guys who make who are in 50th this year.
But I know, but you're in the top. If you're in Red Crest qualification, you're fishing next year. There's no way someone qualifies for Red Crest and then doesn't make it. But I'm looking down below that list, and there's 16 of these. There's 4 new guys coming in, and there's 16 of these guys who are going out. Obviously, you got Skeet Reese retiring at the end of this year. My God, those are some names, Jody. There's some names that have won a lot of money and a lot of titles and command a lot of respect that are going to be looking for a home next year. It'll be a very, very interesting next couple weeks. I would assume probably a month or two before the final field is announced for 2026 on the 50 on the BPT. But man, over 24 guys that survived that first cut that'll be looking for a home.
Yeah, and it almost, obviously when the plan was to cut it, it might have, in hindsight being 2020, maybe it would have been better to just rip the Band-Aid off and just cut it. I don't know if that, I don't know. I didn't have to make that decision. I mean, that was originally, and then the anglers were like, whoa. Let's settle that down.
Yeah.
And so who knows, but there's going to be some very accomplished anglers, many of whom I think, could still probably hang on a top level tour with a large field, right? Who are going to be looking for homes. And there's some guys who you really wouldn't expect it, right? Josh Bertrand has had a few tough seasons, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think anyone thinks of Bertrand as a guy who's over the hill and shouldn't be, a pro anymore. But he's had some bad years, man. And it's wild to think that.
Top 50 average too. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a top 50 average. I mean, there's 3 or 4 different ways is what you're saying that guys can be safe.
There's a few ways, you can basically either have had a good career and, if you have a bad year, you have one bad year out of 3 or one bad year out of 4 instead of 2 in a row or something like that. And then you can also just fish good enough to fish your way back in. But it is, to me, it's tough on rookies because you have to, right out of the gate, you better catch them. Especially right now, right, with the big cut. In future years, if there's only 5 guys coming in, they're not changing the field as much, it will be a little easier on a rookie.
Yeah, the guys who were rookies this year on the BPT, this is me talking, got the short end of the stick because they came in and had 1 year to stay on during a year where they're hacking 15 out of 65 guys.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's when certain things may have happened in the past.
Pretty much so there were 3 rookies this year, right? Jake Lawrence, Colby Miller, Marshall Hughes, because we had 2 guys not take their invite. All 3 of those guys, I mean, barring real issues, they're going to be in good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you could easily see how if you are, I mean, heck, Marshall Hughes is 31st in points right now. He doesn't have a career average. Like, he's probably good. But what if he breaks down at Saginaw? You know? Like, that could happen.
Yeah.
There could, who knows?
This game has
I don't
become
want
a
to
lot
wish
easier.
breakdowns on Marshall. I love that guy.
No, I know. Well, you're talking about guys breaking down. I'm comparing dudes to freaking Tony Christian. It's been a hell of a show.
Yeah, we're not setting up here.
I've definitely been able to swallow a lot of things that have happened in this industry easier once you actually make peace in your mind with it, that it's just not fair. There are some instances that are not fair, and you're dealing with for-profit businesses that are doing what is in their best interest. And you're the one who's making the option to sign up for it and sign up for what the rules are. And guess what? Sometimes the shit's not fair and it's not right and things happen, but the phrase, it's business, it's literally a business.
Yeah,
and
it's
understand that and
it's
realize
a tough business to be in, right? Like, nobody, I don't think anyone really thinks that, like, I think some guys might start out being like, this pro angler thing, it's going to be awesome. And I would say most guys, they get halfway on their way and they're like, this is harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And then I think the guys that come out the other side are the ones who have, the willpower, the strength. Obviously you catch them, but I mean, if you let every little thing in this thing eat you up as far as rule, like I have a list of 11 things that really chat my ass about the opens this past year. And I wake up on a Monday. I legitimately do. And they are numbered in level of importance. And I wake up on a Monday and I say, I'm writing an article, a letter, and I'm sending it to everybody with an @Bassmaster email. And then I wake up on a Tuesday and I say, it's a business. Life isn't fair. Get over it.
How many of those things are breaks?
One.
Okay, just one.
One out of the 11.
All
but
right.
I have to you have to be mentally strong in this game because everybody could find something to gripe about in it. And it's not fair. Like if I was a rookie coming in, you look at Matt Steffi's rooming with me in the opens and you're like, dude, you freaking did what they asked you to do in your first year on the BPT. And they were like, ooh, big cut. Sorry. Better luck next time.
Yeah.
And you're
Picked
like,
a bad year there, Maddie. Sorry.
Yeah. It just doesn't seem fair. Or you make the Forest Wood Cup and they're like, ooh, you made it a day after the business was sold and that tournament no longer exists. Better luck next time.
Yeah, I know who that applies to.
But I mean, it's like that on both of on everything. It's hard to rationalize, but it's easy once you understand that it's a business.
That is definitely true, but sometimes it's still a bummer.
Yeah. I still love it though. I mean, me and you, we talk fishing all the time. I know you spend a lot of time. I'm still just as ate up with it, a little bit more jaded at times, but I'm still just as ate up with it as I was when I was interning for the Bass Zone at 22 years old, going to the Elite Series and going, holy cow, I can't believe it. I feel like I understand it at a different level, but you don't ever seem burned out on it either.
No, I mean, I'm sure that I could find other jobs if I didn't want to get up at 4 a.m. and go to takeoff, but I still really like getting up early and going to takeoff. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. What are you fishing this year?
Not really that much. The schedule this year, I'm a little bit burned by schedules because it just seems like a lot of the stuff that I wanted to fish is on top of stuff that I have to work. The Open at the River was a great example. And then the ABAs up north, they're just not happening this year. So my outlet for solo tournaments is basically Tuesday nighters. So I'm kind of just fishing a bunch of random stuff this year.
They haven't kicked you out of anything, have they yet? I know that Cranford's having some issues around here and Oklahoma showing up and guys going,
No, they did. So the Wednesday nighters that I like to fish, they basically didn't go to my favorite lake in the fall anymore. I was kind of annoyed by that.
You think that was intentional? You think there might have been like a little, we're just going to skip the Jody White Invitational this year?
I've got a good record there. And I don't usually drive up to the Champlain ones, so possibly. But maybe not, And, but otherwise, that's about it. And I'm going to fish that no-scope tournament at Gunnersville, that Ultimate Angler thing.
What is that? Can you explain that to me?
I can explain it a little bit, but legitimately, I haven't got an email from them since I qualified, so I don't know that I can explain it perfectly. But like, basically, you could qualify all sorts of different ways. You sign up to become a member, fish a tournament that can qualify you, and then beat all the other members. And then I think they also might have invited like the top of the guys in the standings on the BPT and the Elite Series. But I qualified out of Oneida last fall, and I would assume that I was the only person signed up in that. Like, I don't think there was anyone else. Now, I did win the tournament, so like, I feel like even if there had been a bunch of other people, I would have still made it, but I think I took a pretty easy way in. But it's like pretty big money. Really big money if you win or top 10. And even pretty big money if you don't.
Was it
like,
quarter mil if you win or something? Or half mil? Or
I want to say it's half. I think it's 500,000. But it's a lot. Like, it's a crazy amount of money. And when I signed up for it, I was like, this is going to be cool. There'll be a lot of really good fishermen, but it's going to be also really random field. And now I think the field is like basically the best field that's ever fished a bass tournament, between the amount of like guys who are actual pros and guys who are locals or semi-locals. And so I've gone from being like, this would be cool, maybe I can go down and do okay, to like, wow, I'm going to get boat raced in this tournament. But maybe it'll go fun. Maybe I'll catch a big one or something. Like, I have very low expectations, but I also might go down and pre-practice for it because, God, it'd be cool to do well. I think it'd be like the coolest tournament in the world to catch them in.
Yeah, that would be.
But I also don't think it'll ever happen again because it doesn't seem like they're organized for like a future tournament. I could be wrong. I think it's a one-off thing that,
like the old Johnny US Open deal.
Yeah, I think it's like basically the equivalent, except being run by the state of Alabama.
Have you seen this like high stakes team tournament?
Yeah, the dual threat, right?
Yeah.
They're all down south. They're like super, super far away from me. And you have to fish all of them, I think. Which I think would be really great if you live down south. But it's a lot of driving for this guy.
It's the championship payout's $250,000. The regular season payouts $100K. Pays down $7K to $25. The championship is $50K for the top three, $250, $100. They do one a month: January, Florida; February, Louisiana; March, Texas; April, Alabama; May, Tennessee; June, South Carolina. The only thing that makes me interested is like Oklahoma is definitely one of the top 3 states in the country for team tournaments. I would venture to say Texas, Oklahoma, and Alabama. This is just my take on it. The top 3 team tournament trail states, and I do not see Oklahoma on the schedule. So does that mean the championship's on Oklahoma? What does that mean?
Ooh.
Why is Oklahoma not in here? How much is
Maybe they just don't like you.
It is $5,000 for each one of these team tournament events. But if you think about it, you're paying $2,000 for an open.
Yeah.
For about a $50,000 payout, which is the same as what you're doing if you're splitting 100 with another dude in your boat.
Yeah. I think that the team tournaments are kind of pretty big time right now. I feel like so in the Northeast, like some of our best trails are team trails. They get pretty good participation right now. I think it's a pretty good idea, to be honest.
Now, here's my question: in the land of scope, Jody, and individuals here, like there's tournaments where it doesn't really benefit you that much to have a partner in the boat. There's others where it does. So if I'm very confident in my own abilities and I want to fish this trail, could I not bring a buddy and say, hey, I'll pay you $500. I don't think you can sign up solo. I think you have to be a team here. I'll pay you $500, cover all your expenses for the event, give you whatever 5% if I win and stuff. But like, we're using my boat. I'm practicing. You're just along for the ride. You get a small percentage of it. I get the lion's share of it. You obviously could do that. They don't care how you spend the money.
Yeah. In Texas, I fished with Cody Ross the other day, who lives down in Texas and fishes a bunch of our stuff and opens, and he and River Lee are fishing some trail in Texas, and maybe it's Bass Champs or I don't know what it is, but it's a team trail. And the guy who won AOI this year, or is going to win AOI, fished solo all year.
Yeah.
And there's a kid in college. I want to say his name starts with a Z, but I think I've totally botched it. But Anderson maybe? I feel bad. Anyway, he won like a Bassmaster college classic thing in Texas, and he fishes like almost everything solo, and he does really good. I think Anderson.
Kaz Anderson?
No, it's not Kaz. Let's see. Anderson Jones. And he fishes like almost all solo in college and cracks.
Movie character, Anderson Jones. Here comes Anderson Jones.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can fish team stuff solo and do well, but I also do feel like a lot of times, it's good to have a partner. Because you don't all catch them at the same, sometimes one guy's on the ball.
Anything else before I let you go? We're almost an hour and a half in. I got to figure out, my trailer, the axle is thrashed. So I had to get the truck back so I could take the boat in to get the axle fixed, which I was hoping was an easy fix. Was not an easy fix. So I have no idea what's going on there.
I just did my trailer, like brakes and hub yesterday. And I think I have brakes now, which, let me tell you, 21-foot boat, no brakes, and towing with a Tundra. It's nice to have brakes. You kind of miss them going up and down hills here.
I can't believe you weren't towing with brakes.
It was only for like a week, but now I've got them again.
And then I have to go get a tune-up at the Bass Tank with Scott. And then head up to Minnesota. I'll tell you what, when you don't have a truck for 4 weeks and then your boat goes in the shop for a week, you can really get organized. Like really, really organized. Like I have never been this organized in my life.
Dude, I went out to that Erie. I worked a tournament, I think, and then I went I had like a day, and then I went to that Erie thing, and then I think I've worked like 2 in a row or whatever. Like, I've had a stretch of doing nothing but either watching fishing or fishing, and I legitimately think I'm going to wash the boat this afternoon, and it'll be the first time I've washed it in like a month and a half.
Wow.
Which is not like, I don't keep everything tip-top clean, but I am very much looking forward to actually washing this thing. And,
the most dialed in I've ever been was last summer when I stayed at your house there. We did Vermont and New York and stuff like that. And I was 28 days in a row on the water, like either in your boat, buddy's boats, or my boat. Like that was the most, like I did 28 days in a row of having at least a 20-pound bag. Because it was all up north, so it was smallmouth, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like that's the most the most dialed in I've ever felt. So now I go into this open 28 days off the water.
Are you Are you going to be up early and fish anywhere else, or like you literally just dump in the boat?
It depends on when I get the trailer back. Like if I get the trailer back, I'm leaving on Thursday. If I don't get the trailer back, I mean, practice starts on Sunday. I would love. There's a couple little fisheries up there that have the same strain as the Leech Lake smallmouth, and I would love to just. There's just something about, you get your 8-pound test and you let a 5-pounder go, zzz, and you're like, oh, nothing bad happened. He didn't break off. He didn't jump off. We actually landed him. So that way, when it happens, when the big lights are on, you're not, puking in the boat while a smallmouth is jumping out there. Cause you're just like, oh, this is what they do. Just, 9 times out of 10, everything will be okay. So
yeah, you just rope them all in. You'll be good to go.
Yeah.
You got this.
Casted crank. I've started more like what I found on some of those bigger fish.
You should buddy gross it. Just point your rod right at them and just.
What I found is, the bigger the fish, obviously, the more they can move, the faster they can move, and especially with smallmouth. And I used to think like, why are so many top end guys reeling against the drag? And I could never figure out why. Because obviously, when you're hearing any drag or there's drag going out and you're reeling against it, you're twisting your line. It's not productive. But the better I get, the more I feel like the more I understand this, you'll look at some of these top end guys who you'll be like, why is their drag so loose? Why are they reeling against the drag? And you'll understand when you're constantly in picking up line motion, you have a much less chance of losing that fish when you reel against the drag. Because when it does change, when it does jump, when it does make a run, it does not allow for slack to get in that line. And if you're holding it, obviously there's main drags, but if you're holding it right there, that last kind of bit where that fish can go anywhere like this and you're just holding it, you don't have enough time by the time it swims to you to start cranking and pick up line. So if you're just reeling, it sounds like, but what you're actually doing is keeping that hook point headed towards the boat.
I hear you. And I mean, those big ones, like they can shake their head. So like they can throw slack just shaking their head, like they have enough movement and enough power up there for sure.
It's totally different when you hook one of those big ones and you're like reel in and it stays deep and then you feel and it's not like the drum or the catfish roll. It's like you can literally picture that fish down there. If you reeling in, he's too big to move because you can't put that much pressure on him with that. He's too big to move, but he wants it out of his mouth. You can just picture all the fins on the back standing up and the pectoral fins and that fish just going
Catch a big smallmouth.
And you're like, oh, it's on. That's the best feeling. Like when it's a big one and it's not the fish swimming, it's literally you can picture that head down there just thrashing.
I might drive to the river this weekend. I might just say screw it and just go. I have not caught a big smallmouth since the spring. Like a big one. I might just have to go up in there and just do it.
The other thing I like is when they come to the surface, I don't love it for keeping the hook, but when they come to the surface and like, okay, what you're dealing with, and then they go back down and you can't get them back up. That's awesome because there's 100% chance of what you have on the end of it. Like when it's not, you're like, could it be one of the Oneida catfish? Could it be?
Yeah, is it a drum?
Is it
I've held a net for a while where you're like steadily losing hope that it's
walleye?
A bass. And you're thinking less and less it's a bass, but you can't quite put the net down yet because maybe it's a bass. And then you're like, oh.
Yeah. But I like when it comes up and you're like, oh my God, like that thing, that's a big bass. And then it goes back down and starts doing its thing.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot.
Would you rather have one that goes down and won't come up or one that goes up and won't go down? Like one of those tarpon 15 feet to the side and 0.5 second jumps.
I just lost some on a spy bait that did exactly that. And so right now I'm taking the ones that don't jump.
I got you.
I would watch them. I was on Ontario and you could see them. Can you hear Goose, by the way, barking or not?
Yeah, it's all good though.
All right.
You live on a farm.
Yeah, there's always sounds. So you could see them on Ontario, 60, 70, 100 feet in front of me sometimes, cruising up high, and I'd, like, with my eyes. And you could throw the spy bait in front of them, they'd destroy it, and then they would go like out the side of the water, like 3 jumps and just gone, and the spy bait would go like 30 feet some other direction, and it was a lot of fun. But right now, I'd prefer them to not jump because I lost a couple big ones on the jump.
Dude, they keep just getting incrementally bigger there, it seems. Like a 1/4 pound bigger every single year. So like a 4-pounder 3 years ago is a 4.5 pounder now.
Look at the weights. Like legitimately, like 25 a day is the standard now.
Yeah.
And Chris did 25 a day, no scope one of the days, in the Invitational. You know, it's which you talked about all this, but like the fish are not getting easier to catch up there. We're getting better. I mean, we're getting better at catching them, but they're not easier to catch. But they are getting bigger for sure, in my opinion. Because even when you catch a small one, it's like 4.5. It's crazy.
Wild. It's absolutely wild.
I really don't think, I will say, like, if guys are like on the fence, like, should I go to the St. Lawrence River or not? I'm thinking about it. There's not really a scenario where I can tell you don't go. Like, it may not be that good all the time, and maybe, you know, maybe me saying, maybe we're going to fish it too much, right? Because we're humans. We can overfish almost anything. But, like, it really is that fun. It really is that good. And if you're with a guide who, like, puts you on them, or you give yourself enough time to get on them, like, it is a special, special place, man. There's nowhere like it, in my opinion.
If I had never been before and I had like a wife who enjoyed fishing but wasn't like super into it, but like the outdoors, here's what I would do. I would do like 5 days up there. I'd bring my significant other. I would call Big JP or Travis, Manson, Smallmouth Crush. There's a number of guides up there. Those are the two that Rick Harris does a little bit of stuff in the summer up there. There's a bunch of good guys that guide up there, but Big JP or Travis, you're going to be on them. Big JP,
you're getting prime stuff. Like you're not going there to catch 2-pounders with those guys. Like you're going to catch big fish.
I would do a day or two with that. Like maybe even just a day, and explain, hey, look, I'm not. I want to understand how this goes down. I'm not looking for these spots. You'll never see me here again, because that lake is very patternable. Like if you're drifting current and stuff, you can say, oh, I should be able to drift over this rock pile and get bit. And you will get bit. Like, I mean, you can drift over 50 of them. You'll get bit on 40 of them. Now, it might not be 6-pounders, but you're going to get bit. Then you get the day where it's calm and you have your significant other and you're like, hey, let's go cruise through the Canadian Narrows, where it looks like Chronicles of Narnia. Like you would expect to see some like dwarf with giant ears and like a deer with wings on an island. That's how crazy beautiful it is. And then like maybe we'll go cruise past some castles and then ease up to a dock in Clayton and get some fresh yellow perch for lunch, and then go catch another third. Like it's that
so
cool.
Nice up there, dude. It's great. And it's cooler. It's like, it's always cooler than it is even in Vermont, which I love in the summer. I know you did a whole show about how Maine is great in the summer, and I'm sure that it is. It's great in the fall too.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, the St. Lawrence River, one of a kind.
So there is one of the islands in Thousand Islands that has one of the castles on it that you can rent for like $1,000 a night.
Seems a little pricey, but I'm here.
Not really. Think about it.
Oh.
It sleeps like 15. You get like 7 or 8 of your buddies. You're at like $100 a night. You just leave your boat at the ramp. If you're fishing the tournament, it's right there by Clayton, so you can just go straight. It's got dock and everything on it.
There's never tournaments at Clayton.
What?
There's never tournaments out of Clayton anymore.
No?
They're all out of Waddington or Messina.
Oh. But I'm just
saying,
dude,
I fished a tournament out of Cape Vincent last fall. It was the dream. You had everything was right there. You want the lake? Boom. You want the river? Boom. It was gorgeous.
I'm trying to find this VRBO. I don't know if I can find it in this.
It's a on-air travel planning is.
Yeah, but it's like one of the whole. It's like one of those castles that's finished out. Has electricity and all that stuff. That would be so awesome. To do that for a trip with like 6-7 of your buddies. You're only in $120, $130 a night. And bring all your supplies over there. Could you imagine like getting up at 5:30 in the morning? You're right there at the mouth of the river. You're on an island by yourself after you've had a bonfire the night before. Yeah.
Make breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm in. Let's go. You gonna be there this weekend, or when are we going?
Don't tempt me with a good time. Like I said, I gotta get a boat back first. So,
anything
else, Jody?
Nah, man, I'm all good. Saginaw Bay is gonna be real soon. It's gonna be a good tournament. Watch out on live, and I don't know if you see one of our tournaments, you want to fish it, hop in. I might be there.
There you go. All right, Jody White, MLF, good angler in his own right, Bassmaster Opens champ. Didn't get to fish in the Classic, though, because you didn't fish all of them.
No, poor planning on my part.
Well, I mean, it's good planning, but also poor planning. Like, it's a good problem to have. Like, I won $50,000 in an Open.
Maybe one of these years it'll come together where I can fish a whole schedule, or one of these like one-off things will actually work out where I can try and sneak my way in, because it'd be cool tournament to fish.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, man. Always a pleasure.
See ya. Yep. All right. Jody White, MLF. I think that's all we got for today. Working on getting a couple shows for next week. We should have Matt Steffen, Miles Berghoff, Blake Schroeder, all that. We're going to try to do some live stuff from Minnesota. Other than that, if you didn't have a chance to listen to yesterday's show with Shaw Grigsby, highly recommend. It's out on iTunes and on the YouTubes. Highly recommend that. Great show from Shaw. And then once everything kind of settles down and the dust settles down, I'd like to get Skeet on again. He talked about when he announced retirement before the season started, had him on. Now, after this season, I see he's been posting some stuff about how it's his last event. Definitely a iconic Hall of Famer hanging it up at the end of this Bass Pro Tour season. So this has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. We will talk to everyone later. See ya.